A lone soldier, cut off, surrounded. The icy, unforgiving expanse of the Ardennes forest swallowed him whole. His unit was gone, overrun, or captured. His commanders believed him dead. For him, the war was now a solitary, desperate struggle for one more hour, one more day. This is not just a story of survival. This is the story of a final, defiant act of duty that would echo through the static of history. How did a lost Radioman survive behind enemy lines? And why was his final transmission considered legendary? It was December 19, 1944. The German offensive in the Ardennes, the Battle of the Bulge, was in its fourth, chaotic day. Amid the fog, the confusion, and the collapsing American lines, a single communications jeep from the 423rd Infantry Regiment, 106th Infantry Division, was separated from its retreating column near the village of Schönberg, Belgium. In that jeep was a young radio operator, Private First Class Samuel Sam Corrigan. What began as a routine withdrawal transformed into an epic 7-day ordeal of evasion, endurance, and ultimate sacrifice. This is his story. To understand Sam Corrigan's nightmare, we must first understand the catastrophe that befell his unit. The 106th Infantry Division, nicknamed the Golden Lions, was new to combat. Positioned on a quiet sector of the front in the Schnee-Eifel region, they were considered a ghost front. But on December 16, 1944, three German armies spearheaded by veteran Waffen-SS and Volksgrenadier units smashed into the American lines. The 106th Division stood directly in the path of the 5th and 6th Panzer Armies. Among the thousands of green troops was 20-year-old Sam Corrigan from Albany, New York. Pause. Assigned to the Regimental Communications Platoon, Corrigan was not a rifleman. His weapon was the SCR-300 walkie-talkie radio, a 35-pound backpack set that was the lifeline between headquarters and the front. He was described as quiet, diligent, and fiercely protective of his equipment. On December 19th, the 423rd Regiment was ordered to retreat westward to avoid encirclement. Chaos ensued. Columns intermingled, roads were jammed, and German Panzer Grenadiers infiltrated the woods. Corrigan's jeep, driven by a fellow soldier, took a wrong turn down a Forest Service road. A burst of machine gun fire from a hidden German position shredded their tires and killed the driver instantly. Corrigan was thrown from the vehicle, his radio set slamming into the frozen ground beside him. When he came to, he was alone. The sounds of battle were moving west. He was now on the eastern side of the German advance, deep behind enemy lines. Bruised but not broken, Corrigan's first instinct was duty. He checked his radio. Miraculously, it was functional. He sent a brief, hurried distress call on the regimental net, but received only static in reply. The 423 RD's command post had already been overrun. By 1400 hours, he could hear the guttural sounds of German engines and shouts echoing through the dense fir trees. He gathered what he could from the jeep: a few K-ration boxes, 2 canteens of water, his .45 caliber pistol, and crucially, spare batteries for the SCR-300. His decision was immediate: evade and escape west. But the German advance was a tidal wave. He witnessed, from a distance, the surrender of large groups of American soldiers, his comrades from the 422nd and 423rd Regiments. Over 7,000 men would be captured in the Schnee-Eifel, one of the largest mass surrenders in U.S. military history. Pause for Corrigan. Surrender was not an option. He faded into the forest. For the next 3 days, Corrigan became a ghost. He moved only at night, guided by a small pocket compass. The Ardennes winter was brutal. Temperatures plunged below freezing. He slept fitfully in foxholes scooped out of the snow, awoken by the chattering of his own teeth. He survived on melted snow and the dwindling K-rations.
By day, he observed.
He noted German armor movements, the distinct silhouettes of Panzer IVs and the massive King Tigers, logging their direction and frequency. He mapped makeshift supply dumps and artillery positions in his mind. On December 22nd, his situation turned even more desperate. While scavenging for food in an abandoned barn, he stumbled upon a wounded German soldier, left behind by his unit. The two young men stared at each other in shared, frozen shock. Corrigan, seeing the man was no immediate threat, simply backed away and vanished back into the woods. The encounter shook him. It was a stark reminder of the human cost on all sides and of his own profound isolation. By December 24th, Christmas Eve, Corrigan was starving, frostbitten, and battling pneumonia. He had circled around the vital crossroads town of St. Vith, now a flaming cauldron of battle. He found a hiding place in a rocky outcrop overlooking a major east-west road. What he saw below was a staggering concentration of enemy force, an entire German Kampfgruppe with armor, half-tracks, and artillery, regrouping for a renewed assault. Pause. He knew this intelligence was vital. It was also, for a lone, dying radioman, seemingly impossible to deliver. Huddled in his rocky crevice, racked by coughs, Corrigan faced his impossible choice. His batteries were fading. He had perhaps 1 or 2 transmissions left in the set before it became a dead weight. The regiment he was assigned to had ceased to exist as a fighting force. Even if he got a signal out, who would be listening? And if he transmitted, the Germans, who were adept at radio direction finding, would pinpoint his location within minutes. Yet the intelligence he possessed, the composition, location, and likely axis of attack of that German Kampfgruppe could save hundreds, perhaps thousands, of Allied lives further down the road at Bastogne, or on the approaches to the Meuse River.
He was a radio man.
His purpose was to communicate. To not transmit was to surrender his last shred of identity as a soldier. The bitter cold seeped into his bones. The wind howled a mournful dirge through the trees. In his pocket, he found a waterlogged photograph of his family. The faces were blurring. He knew, with a chilling clarity, that he would not make it home. The question was no longer about survival. It was about legacy. What would his war amount to? Dawn on December 25th, 1945. Christmas Day. Across the front, men huddled in foxholes, singing silent carols. In his niche, Sam Corrigan made his decision. With numb, blue fingers, he unpacked the SCR-300 for the final time. He attached the last fresh battery. He extended the antenna, knowing it made him a target. He tuned the set, not to his defunct regimental net, but to a general Allied command frequency, a long-shot Hail Mary into the ether. He would send in the clear, no encryption, hoping the sheer urgency of his words would compel any Allied operator to listen and relay. He took a deep, ragged breath. His moment of truth had arrived. The weight of command, for an entire invisible battlefront, rested on the trembling hands of a lone, lost, and dying private. At approximately 0815 hours, a faint, broken signal crackled into the headphones of a weary operator at the U.S. First Army's makeshift signals intelligence unit near Liège. The voice was weak, strained, but precise. Narrator, A.S. Corrigan, any station, this is Lion Cub. I say again, this is Lion Cub. Do you read? Over. The Liège operator, Sergeant James Walsh, immediately recognized the faint call sign, Lion Cub, a known secondary designation for the 106th Division. He responded, Lion Cub, this is Prairie Dog. We read you faint, but clear. Send traffic. Over. What followed was a masterclass in military observation, transmitted under the shadow of death. Corrigan, his voice gaining strength from sheer determination, reported, Narrator, A.S. Corrigan, grid reference 738922. Enemy Kampfgruppe strength. Estimated 30-plus armored vehicles, including 8 heavy tanks, repeat heavy tanks, likely Tigers. 20-plus half-tracks, towed artillery batteries setting up at grid 739924. Appear to be forming for westward movement along Route N23. Current activity, refueling and assembly. Over. Sergeant Walsh, stunned, scribbled furiously. He requested authentication, a code question only a 106 soldier would know. Corrigan answered correctly. This was no German trick. This was a genuine, real-time intelligence goldmine from behind the lines. For 10 critical minutes, the transmission continued. Corrigan gave details on infantry strength, vehicle markings suggesting the 1st SS Panzer Division, and even the morale of the troops appear fatigued, disorganized. He was creating a living, breathing intelligence picture. Then his signal began to break up. Narrator, A.S. Corrigan, Prairie Dog, they've got my location. Signal triangulation. You have the data. Get it to command. Static.
Tell my family. Tell them I did my job.
Lion Cub out. Pause. The transmission ended with a sharp, final burst of static. Back in Liège, Sergeant Walsh immediately flagged the transcript as critical. The information was relayed directly to General Courtney Hodges' 1st Army headquarters. Within the hour, Allied artillery, adjusted for the precise grid references Corrigan provided, unleashed a devastating barrage on the German assembly area. Simultaneously, a squadron of P-47 Thunderbolts scrambled from a forward airfield, descended on the stalled column with rockets and .50 caliber fire. The German attack was disrupted, delayed, and its strength significantly degraded before it could even launch. Corrigan's final transmission did more than just direct fire. It provided the Allied High Command with unequivocal proof of a major German effort forming near Saint-Vith, allowing them to reinforce a vulnerable sector. His words had bought time, and on the Western Front, time was the one commodity more precious than blood. Of Samuel Corrigan, there was no immediate sign. A patrol sent to find his position after the artillery strike found only his rocky hideout. There, they discovered his SCR-300 radio, smashed by what appeared to be the butt of a rifle, likely his final act to deny the enemy its use. There were signs of a struggle and blood stains on the snow, but no body. He was listed as missing in action. The war moved on. The bulge was gradually sealed. But the story of the Lion Cub transmission persisted, passed among Signal's intelligence officers. It was a legend, a tale of unbelievable courage and duty. Then, in March 1945, as Allied forces recaptured ground east of Saint-Vith, a unit liberating a makeshift German POW camp made a shocking discovery. Among the emaciated prisoners was Private First Class Samuel Corrigan. Pause, he was alive. Interrogation revealed that after his transmission, German soldiers had stormed his position. He had fought them with his pistol until it was empty and was captured, severely wounded. He survived the brutal conditions of the camp, clinging to life, his identity unknown to his captors beyond being another American POW. The full story of his evasion, his transmission, and its monumental impact now came to light. The intelligence he provided was credited with breaking up a critical German counterattack plan and saving countless Allied lives. For his actions, Samuel Corrigan was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the nation's second highest award for valor. The citation read, in part, "For extraordinary heroism in connection with military operations against an armed enemy, his gallant actions and dedicated devotion to duty, at the cost of his own freedom and nearly his life, uphold the highest traditions of military service." Corrigan returned home, physically and mentally scarred, but alive. He rarely spoke of his ordeal, but the legacy of his final transmission lived on in Signal's doctrine. He proved that one soldier, with unwavering dedication and the will to fulfill his duty against impossible odds, could alter the tide of battle. The story of Sam Corrigan is a testament to the unbreakable spirit of a single soldier lost in the vast, mechanized chaos of total war. It reminds us that heroism is not always a loud, explosive charge, but sometimes a quiet, desperate act of communication into the void, a refusal to let duty die, even when all hope seems lost. This was just one of countless untold stories from the Second World War.